Hello everyone, welcome to another Jurassic World Evolution 2 video that you didn't ask for, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway. It's gonna be a little bit different, it's gonna be more off the cuff, spontaneous. We're gonna speculate, we're gonna talk, we're gonna keep it light and airy. Because I'm lazy. We have a new feature focus for Jurassic World Evolution 2 about challenge and sandbox mode. I will say up front, there's not too much interesting information in here, but there are a couple of key points that did convince me to make a video about it. So we're just gonna be spitballing here about some things I like, some things I don't like. Let's just get into it. This is all introductory. We won't go over this. But the first point on the agenda is challenge mode. Challenge mode, of course, we're familiar with that from the first game. I am personally not the biggest fan of challenge mode. I think this is no secret. But we will dive into it for the people who are a big fan of it. And I think we might need to all become a fan of it, because I think there are some things tied to challenge mode that us sandbox lovers are gonna need as well. But we'll talk about that in the sandbox section. First of all, I think we can skip this. They're talking about taking it up to a new notch with some exciting new additions. They say, don't worry, we're sure you're up to the challenge. I think Frontier overestimates my power. They go on to say, all missions in challenge mode will offer 4 difficulty levels, easy, medium, hard, Jurassic, with their own part times, which is exactly the same as what we have currently. However, the different difficulty levels will be unlocked by progression. So, for example, right now in challenge mode, if you're confident in your abilities, you can hop right into Jurassic difficulty, unlock all of the content involved in that. You don't have to mess with easy, medium, or hard, if you're of the Jurassic expert level. But this time around, you'll need to unlock a certain number of stars on any given difficulty before you can proceed to the next level. So this time around, you start on easy, and perhaps for easy, if you reach 2 stars, you unlock medium, and for medium, maybe 3 stars, you unlock the hard challenge mode, and so on and so forth. So initially, you're only going to have, theoretically, I'm guessing based on what they're saying, initially you're going to have easy available to you. Again, that might be something that the challenge mode fans and the challenge mode experts are not necessarily going to be the biggest fan of, because it feels like a little bit of a waste of time. If easy is too easy for you, then by definition it's not fun for you to play. But you have to do at least a little bit of easy level to unlock medium, and you have to do at least a little bit of medium to unlock hard, to eventually get to the Jurassic difficulty. And I know tons of people who are good enough at challenge mode that they don't need to waste any time on this. They just hop right into Jurassic. I think on one hand it makes sense for there to be a progression, especially since, you're trying to teach people about the differences in challenge mode, which is the next point on the agenda. People need to be familiarized with how everything works. So, alright, that's fine. Consider it like a very extended and in-depth tutorial aspect. But I think that is going to end up rubbing some people the wrong way, myself included. I mean, if I am going to do challenge mode, I normally don't mess with Jurassic, but if I want to get the content out of it, I want to get it over with as quickly as possible. So even I might say, okay, I'll just do Jurassic right away. Now, speaking of new features that they're introducing, we're introducing a new feature in challenge mode, conditions. These will place constraints on your game to make each playthrough slightly more challenging, and it will differ depending on which difficulty you're playing. And they give an example of that. So the example they give is you're playing challenge mode, easy level, and you can only have a maximum of 25 species in your park, whereas if you're playing medium level, you may have a limit of only 15 species. Just imagine how little the species limit could be with Jurassic. I mean, they subtracted 10. You could be at minus species for Jurassic level. I'm assuming the interval is going to be less big as we get closer to Jurassic. It's definitely an interesting thing to implement. Constraints to phrase that as a new feature is slightly overselling it, I think. I mean, the whole point of the different difficulty levels are the constraints. We already have constraints in the current version. A constraint, for example, is the limited amount of money, which gets worse and worse as you progress through, as you go through the difficulty levels. You know, that's also already a constraint, a condition, the condition being less money. So, but I get what they're going with, and I'm curious to see what other conditions we will be faced with. One thing that sprung to mind for me was we possibly have a smaller buildable area when we go up to the Jurassic difficulty level. So for easy, you could have a lot of space, you know, and get to play around quite freely. You don't have to think about too much stuff. You don't have to plan too carefully. But as you go up to Jurassic level, they minimize the buildable space, so you really have to think carefully about how you're going to mix your dinosaur species, how you're going to place your attractions, all of that kind of stuff. That's the first thing that sprung to mind as another possible condition. The other possible condition may be that you have fewer attractions. For example, let's say that dinosaur visibility is going to be another factor, another metric that influences your park rating. It's raining very loud. I don't know if the microphone's going to pick up on that. But yeah, if dinosaur visibility is going to be another measure, maybe in Jurassic difficulty, they make fewer visibility attractions available to you to make it harder to get that rating up as high as possible. They continue on to say each level is a bespoke challenge with different tasks you'll need to complete. The conditions, maps, and what you have available to achieve is different for each level, which is sort of like what I theorized, and it's up to you to decide how to achieve a 5-star rating. They further sell challenge mode by pointing out they will have both global locations and a context that will make them really fun to play. They're not tied to the game's main narrative, so they're not tied to the movie narrative, is also kind of what that implies. They can be played in isolation, so you know we can get really off script in challenge mode. And we have the return over here of you need to complete challenge mode to unlock the extra skins. So they are bringing back in that reward. Now, historically, the challenge mode skins from Jurassic World Evolution 1, they weren't the greatest. Certainly for me, I'm a completionist, that's for sure. But the skins in and of themselves weren't that fantastic, let's be honest. They weren't like... If you didn't have those skins, I don't think that you missed out on a lot. I'm assuming they're going to take the same approach this time around, because it would be kind of unfair to unlock stuff behind a game mode that is a little bit polarizing. You know, you have some people who are a really big fan of it and think that it's a huge part in the replayability of the game. And you have people like me who are just like, I don't really care for it. Like, it's fun from time to time, but I don't really feel like completing all 4 difficulty levels of all challenge mode maps. And yeah, we're probably going to get a lot of different maps as well. So it'll be interesting to see what those skin rewards are going to be and if they're actually going to be worth the effort this time around. And I'm kind of split on that. On one hand, you want a reward that's worth the effort and the time you put in. On the other hand, I don't want to miss out on great skins, and I fear I'm not going to be able to achieve that reward, so I don't want the skins to be great. Oh my god, complicated emotions. Let's quickly scroll past that. So we're going to go to my love, my baby, Sandbox Mode. Of course, Sandbox Mode is coming back. We already knew that. We can skip over like this first section. Sandbox Mode will offer up a range of options that allow you to alter gameplay for your parks, allowing you to customize various aspects of how you play the game. Some of these options include granting your park infinite money, allowing you to forgo profitability concerns, adjusting weather options and the time of day, and even altering dinosaur and reptile behavior and lifespan so you can play at entirely your own pace. That's comparable with what we have in Sandbox currently, all of the options, all of the settings we can change. I think with behavior, they're hinting at we can turn off, you know, the population requirements, the habitat requirements, stuff like that, and hunting, for example. I think it's all going to be very comparable to the first game. By using the new territory system to its full potential, you could even build a nature reserve style park, but you will need fences to keep your visitors safe. So they're hinting at like sort of a side B mode, although you can't really have side B as long as, you know, the carnivores either need feeders or they eat from the herbivores, but since the herbivores can't reproduce because breeding isn't a thing, the herbivore population is just gonna dwindle. They're gonna get all hunted. So, you know, it doesn't seem like a full-on proper side B, but that is something that they're kind of hinting at here that you can get close to. What is interesting to note, and it is a departure from how the first game started out, like at launch in 2018, maps from both Chaos Theory and Challenge Mode will be playable in Sandbox Mode. It's an interesting omission that they don't mention campaign here. Why aren't they saying maps from campaign, Chaos Theory, and Challenge Mode will be playable in Sandbox Mode? That is a little bit confusing, honestly. This is like literally just hitting me, so I haven't really processed this. They are saying that it's offering up a lot of variety for your park building experiences, but yeah, this is a notable omission. Why aren't campaign parks mentioned here? Or campaign maps, I should say. I mean, I understand that in the campaign we're gonna build on some maps where, you know, we're probably going to have limited space available because we're just gonna be, you know, tasked with rescuing wild dinosaurs. But it is interesting that it is pretty clearly hinted at here that not all maps, not all locations we will be seeing are going to be in Sandbox Mode, or the other option is that they simply forgot to mention them here because Chaos Theory Mode and Challenge Mode use the same maps as Campaign Mode to begin with. So it could just be a case of just writing it down incorrectly or assuming people know stuff that really only they know. I'm rambling. That's sort of what we're going with. This next point is something that is very much a reason for concern to me. Just remember, Sandbox Mode content needs to be unlocked by researching it in other modes. So your sandbox parks will be constantly evolving with your gameplay. We start you off with some basic stuff, but the rest will need to be unlocked for you to access. Now, again, this is the same as what we had for Jurassic World Evolution 1. It is a bit of a shame. It was on my wish list to just have Sandbox Mode unlocked at the very start, as in have all the content available to us at the very start for people who don't want to go through the campaign. So it is a shame that that's not going to be a thing. Again, we have to unlock stuff to get it in Sandbox, but what I particularly want to focus on is it needs to be unlocked by researching it in other modes, as in plural. They're not saying Sandbox Mode content needs to be unlocked by researching it in campaign mode. No, they're just saying other modes. So potentially, stuff needs to be unlocked by completing Chaos Theory mode and by completing Challenge mode. And that's where Evo is starting to get the nervous sweats. Because if stuff in Sandbox is hidden, is locked behind Jurassic Challenge mode, I am going to be very angry. There's going to be riots. I'm probably going to be alone, but I will make a riot because that's very, very annoying. Now, since they didn't hint at it here, they're just saying you'll earn unique species cosmetics by earning 5 stars across different difficulties. That gives a little bit of hope, but this sentence does concern me. I don't like, okay, make us go through the campaign. Fine. Okay. We'll do the campaign to unlock our stuff in Sandbox. We've accepted that. Okay, we've accepted that since 2018. But don't you dare make us go through Chaos Theory mode and Challenge mode to get our stuff in Sandbox. That's not fair. So again, I'm hoping that this is just a case of it being poorly phrased. That's really all I wanted to say about this, that I wanted to share with you. I wanted to throw my thoughts out here. It's a really, really short, succinct feature focus, so you know, that's why this video is a little bit different. There really wasn't that much to break apart. I just wanted to start this discussion with you guys and get your opinion on stuff like this. So comment down below, what do you think of this news? What do you think of the new feature focus? And if you want to stay up to date on Jurassic World Evolution 2 news and, you know, keep partaking in these discussions and these speculations, please consider subscribing to the channel, and if you enjoyed this spontaneous video, then leave a like as well. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, enjoy the anticipation.